So today is the birthday of Srimati Radharani. A birthday means appearance day. Just like the sun, it appears every morning, but actually the sun is always there. This is the example to keep in mind when learning about Krishna, understanding about Krishna, understanding about Krishna's associates, understanding about Radharani, understanding about Mahaprabhu. God is never born. Bhagavan is never born. But he plays his līlā, pastime of birth. And when he plays his pastime of birth, he comes with all his associates and paraphernalia. This is one of the main exposing points for the contemporary modern world Bhagavans. They simply came alone and brought maybe one group of fools with them. They have no real opulence to show. They have little money in some bungalow somewhere. And they bring with them generally just a bunch of fools. But whenever the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, he comes with all his opulences. He comes with a great entourage of his devotees, which naturally will include also different demigods and devas. And he comes with his associates from his own place. If it's Vishnu avatar, then he comes with so many Vishnu devotees, or if it's Krishna himself, Goloka, he brings his Golok devotees, or Mahaprabhu brings his Navadvip devotees, and there will be many, many devotees. And then, when the Supreme Lord is present, then every day will be ordinary, right? Ordinary days will be happening. No, just the opposite. Every day will be extraordinary. And any out-of-ordinary things that happen, bad things that happen, then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he takes care of rectifying those things or destroying those things. Krishna comes to bless his devotees, he comes to chastise the demons, the rascals, the fools. There was a man named Pundraka, and he was a king somewhere in northern India, and he declared that he was the original Vasudeva, that he was Bhagavan. And he even went so far as to send a message to Krishna declaring, "You're the false Bhagavan, I am the real Bhagavan, surrender your disc. You surrender your chakra, bow down to me, worship me, pay your taxes to me, or fight me." So gradually, Krishna met this Pundraka on the battlefield, and then again this Pundraka, and at this time, when he came on his chariot, he had managed to put two more arms behind, false arms. So when he stood on the battlefield with his weapons, he had 4 arms. And of course, he wasn't alone. He was surrounded by so many foolish people accepting that this man is Bhagavan. And not only that, now this man is actually going to challenge Bhagavan, who is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this Pundraka gave a big speech, how great he was. And then Krishna made this one comment: those of great power, great prowess, they don't talk much. Here's my chakra. And he sent his chakra, and the chakra went around, first cutting off the 2 false arms, then cutting off the 2 real arms, and then after a few moments of embarrassment, then cut off his head. And then Krishna returned to his palace. So here's my chakra. He surrendered his chakra. So, if Bhagavan is present, and there are so many false gods in the world, and now, how many are there? 12 at least. Then the real one would rise up and destroy the other ones. One way or another, he would expose them as fools, somehow or another. He may go and chop their head off. But he will do something. And then the world state of affairs, which is what? Corruption, cheating, terrorism. Oh, Bhagavan will sit comfortably in his bungalow, and he will allow all terror to terrorize the people of the world. Correct? Wrong. he would go out, as Krishna did, and create a situation where the evildoers are destroyed. The Kurus, It means the sons of Dhritarashtra, not Duryodhana, but lastly Duryodhana. What was his name? Who was the main son of Duryodhana? Dhritarashtra. All these evildoers who opposed Krishna's will, ultimately they were destroyed. So we will see something like this. Now in the case of Mahaprabhu, he did not come to kill his enemies. He came to relieve the world of the burden of ignorance and to convert his enemies. So Mahaprabhu, he converted many people. Wherever there was an opposing philosophy, he challenged that and he defeated that. And he did not come alone, he came with many devotees. And he showed how to become a devotee. You follow? So Bhagavan never comes alone. And when he's coming, to some degree or another, it is mentioned in the Shastra. It is not that he just shows up one day unannounced. Some people say, oh, Lord Brahma decided to become Jesus. Well, we say, I bet he never does that again, because look what happened to him. Don't get too far from the parampara. We don't. These are all just concoctions, trying to put air into a balloon that's full of holes. It's a waste of time. We should recognize what is real spiritual value. And if something actually has spiritual value and spiritual teachings, then we can accept it. But if it doesn't, we reject it. So we reject Christianity, we reject the Bible and so many of these other man-made religions as false. The Vedas, however, are not man-made. Of course, they are written by people. But what do you find throughout the Vedas? You find Bhagavan Uvacha. These words are that Bhagavan, God himself, said. So you'll find many direct instruction in the Vedas, and the Vedas itself is eternal. Now that is a subject, and the rishis, speaking on their realizations, they are also speaking there. And Bhagavan himself says, what my devotee says, you can trust that better than what I say. Because sometimes Krishna is in a predicament in his līlā, and you can't always trust his word. But a devotee you can always trust. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, more important than what I say is what my devotees say. So in both cases, the Vedas represent Krishna, particularly Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and these things. And also, there are incarnations that appear in different ages. Not just any time. God just decides all of a sudden, okay, I think I'll just come on and appear. No, there'll be some reference to his appearance, that he should appear in this particular age. Of course, then it's up to his devotees to recognize him when he appears. And generally, they do. And if there is some lagging, then, as in the case of Lord Brahma, when Krishna appeared in Vrindavan, Lord Brahma, who's a super topmost devotee, he was a little slow to get the picture that this cowherd boy is actually my Supreme Lord, Bhagavan. Indra also, he was a little slow on that, because Krishna had not come in a long, long time. But Krishna as Vishnu had come many times. And the devotees, the demigods, they were very acquainted with Vishnu appearing and how he will appear in different things he will do. They were very acquainted with this. But Krishna had not appeared in the universe in a long, long, long time. In that day of Brahma, he had not appeared. And the day of Brahma is a long day. And when he did, they did not immediately recognize. In fact, Indra, even Brahma, they opposed Krishna. Particularly Brahma, he's a great devotee. Also Indra is a devotee. But they opposed Krishna. So then what did Krishna do? He rectified their position. Then they realized, oh, it is you. So immediately we may not recognize the arrangement of Krishna. But if we're devotees, then we should catch that arrangement shortly thereafter. But the topmost devotees, they always recognize Krishna immediately. Even when he is in a disguise. Even when Krishna hid himself by becoming Vishnu, the gopis found him out immediately. Actually, Krishna could not keep that form of Vishnu. He had to show himself as he is, as Krishna. So they found him out because their devotion is all attractive to Krishna. Similarly, in Mahaprabhu's time, then immediately, Rup Sanatan, there was a situation whereby they could have easily said, oh, you are a great sannyasi. You are a great sannyasi, great renunciate, you have great knowledge. But they didn't. Namo Mahabharanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. They recognized him, oh, you are Bhagavan. You are Krishna himself. You have dressed yourself as a devotee, and you have come to give the wonderful gift of love of Krishna, Krishna Prema. So they found him out immediately. The topmost devotees will always immediately understand what is Krishna's arrangement. But even there, Krishna is God. And if he wants to bewilder even his greatest devotees, he can do so. But that is not a bewilderment due to ignorance. That is a bewilderment due to līlā. For example, Mother Yasoda does not know that Krishna is Bhagavan. And when Krishna eats dirt, she looks into his mouth, and what does she see? She sees the universes. She sees Govindaji gardens. She sees Vaikuntha. Everything is in Krishna's mouth. Then she realized, oh, my son is Bhagavan. Then Krishna said, no fun here. There's no play there. He's enjoying being a child. He's enjoying his mother chasing him with a stick, going to give him a few hits with the stick. But when she knows that this is Bhagavan, this is the Almighty God, then she'll chase with a stick? No. She'll go down on the knees and fold the hands, and there's no play there. So immediately, when she understood it was Krishna, immediately Yoga Maya just covered her, and it was just like, oh, like a popping in the ear, something in her head. Oh, I don't know what that was. And then she began to chastise her son, Krishna. So that is līlā. But if Krishna wants, he can fool anyone. But in this world, people are fooled by ignorance, not fooled by Krishna. They're fooled by ignorance, which is self-generated, their own selves. Because of their perpetual surrender to Maya, that is the cause of their perpetual ignorance. All right, so when Krishna comes, he doesn't come alone, he comes with his devotees. Now, when Krishna appeared in the world 5,000 years ago, 1 year before Krishna appeared, Lord Balarāma appeared in the world. Balarāma is, by appearance, 1 year older. But again, just like the sun, it comes every morning. But it's not born over there on the Mahadevpur horizon on the other side of the Kaveri. It's there all the time. It's only we people, we can see it. When the world is in a certain position, then we can see the sun, the rising sun. So, Krishna shows his pastime of birth. Balarāma shows his pastime of birth. And 1 year before Krishna. Then next year, on what we call the Janmashtami, then Krishna took his appearance in the same way. Eternally manifest, but now visible in the world. Also a modern example, that the one of the sun is old. They've been telling the sun example for 1,000 years, more. But the example of the television, that's a new example within 50 years, since 1960s or something. The example is that the television comes into your home, now you can see the program. That's why they called it Doordarshan. But where is the darshan happening? Where is it actually? It's in another place. But by the arrangement of electricity and radio waves traveling through the air, see the wonder. The television, you stick a piece of metal in the air and a wire, and something comes from Delhi, swimming through the air, gets inside your antenna, which is just a piece of metal, comes down, goes through a little wire, and pops up on your tube, full color. Hear the people talking, here's the latest news, here's the latest dance, here's the latest movie entertainment. It's coming. But what is this creation, scientific invention, in relation to the possibilities of the Supreme Lord? It is nothing. But it is going on in another place, but it comes here. So like that, Krishna's Leela is going on eternally. and it comes here. So then Krishna appeared. Now Balarāma is there, Krishna is there. Of course, many other associates, cowherd peoples are already there. Obviously, Yasoda, Nanda. But Krishna first, actually his parents were being held captive in Mathura by Kamsa. There had been a prediction that the 8th son of Devaki would kill Kamsa. Devaki was the sister of Kamsa. Kamsa was king. So he imprisoned his sister and her husband Vasudeva, and gradually the children were born in the prison, and Kamsa's killing the children and everything. But Balarāma avoided that, avoided Kamsa, and he was born across the river, a place called Gokul, and his mother was Rohini. Rohini, right? Rohini. And Rohini was staying in the house of Nanda Maharaj. Then the next year, again Krishna fooled Kamsa. Everybody fell asleep. This child, Krishna, was born. Vasudeva carried him out of the palace, crossed the river Jamuna, went to the home of Nanda Maharaj. Everybody has fallen asleep there. And he puts the baby Krishna in the bed with Mother Yasoda, who had given birth to a daughter that same night, same day. Then Kamsa took away the daughter and left this boy there. Well, two things happened. One is, when Mother Yasoda in the morning, then when Yoga Maya took away the sleep and everybody woke up, then Mother Yasoda was confused. She had some confusion because definitely one girl was there. And now no girl is there, only one boy is there. So she had some confusion. But then Yoga Maya just covered that by forgetfulness. But what had happened is Mother Yasoda had given birth to twins. In other words, Krishna had also appeared there, and Yoga Maya had also appeared there. That girl, baby girl, was called Yoga Maya. So when Vasudeva brought one Krishna from Mathura, and he put in the bed, understand? He took away the girl and he left, then that Krishna from Mathura just went back to the original Krishna. Adi Bhagavan, Swayam Bhagavan, Sri Krishna, always in Vrindavan. Never leaves Vrindavan. And he appeared as Vasudeva in Mathura. In other words, there were two Krishnas born on Janmashtami. One in Vrindavan, it's called Gokul, and one in Mathura. Then Vasudeva took this Krishna back to Gokul, and after he left, then that Krishna just, you can say, got inside the other one. In other words, he just came back to the original. Do you understand it? How you can think in your mind how Krishna expands himself. Just like a light expanding out, the light may retract back. So Krishna was born actually of Mother Yasoda. Yasoda Nandana, Nanda Nandana. Also he's called Devaki Nandana, the son of Devaki, because he did appear there also. So Krishna has two sets of parents. Vasudeva and Devaki in Mathura, Nanda and Yasoda in Gokul. But people are thinking, actually that's how it went, yes. Mother Yasoda only remembered giving birth to a girl. And she couldn't understand how one boy is there. So that was her confusion, you see. Later on, they came to know about actually Krishna is the son of Vasudeva. They came to think like that. And thus they were always worried one day Krishna may leave, Krishna may leave, Krishna may leave. This is called Paramor Ras. But actually, Krishna belongs to Mother Yasoda. Krishna belongs to Nanda Maharaj. Krishna belongs to Vrindavan. Krishna belongs to all the residents of Vrindavan, and he never leaves Vrindavan. He does so through his different expansions, called avatars and expansions. And the first one goes to Mathura, and there is a drama, there is a līlā there. You understand? So people in the world are generally confused. Who is the parent, who is the mother, and who is the father of Krishna? You see. So only those who pay some close attention to Krishna's līlā can they understand what is actually Krishna and who is actually Krishna and where does Krishna stay eternally. So then the next year, 1 year after Krishna, now 2 years after Balarāma, then Srimati Radharani appeared. But her appearance was even more mysterious and more different than Balarāma or than Krishna. Now this place called Gokul, if you look at a map, Mathura is here, and there's a river like this. And the river goes this way and goes to Delhi. Well, just along that river, 11 kilometers, there's the village of Vrindavan, right? On the other side of the river over here, 11 kilometers or 15, whatever it is, that's called Gokul. And Nanda Maharaj was living there, and that's where Krishna was taken on that side. That's why Vasudeva crossed the river. Well, there's another little village over there near Gokul. It's called Raval. Raval. And in that village, there's King Brishabhanu. Brishabhanu and his queen Kirtida. So Nanda Maharaj was a king. And also Brishabhanu was a king. Small kings. Village kings. Understand? Like a good sized few villages around. That's like a big mahant, like a jamindar. But that time he was considered as like a king. King Brishabhanu and his queen Kirtida. Now they didn't have any children. They didn't have any children for the longest time. Even Nanda and Mother Yasoda. Sometimes you see a picture, Mother Yasoda looks like she's 25 years old, one baby Krishna. Oh, Mother Yasoda was like 60 years old when Krishna appeared. No children. They had no children. No children. No children. Then Krishna appeared. So actually the real nice picture of Mother Yasoda is some older looking. Nanda Maharaj has a white beard. He's not some 26-year-old guy with a thick black beard. He's old. They were old. So also King Brishabhanu and Kirti, they had no children. And they are also growing old. And they had no children. So any family had no children, there'll be some sadness. So, but this is also līlā. Not just any child will be their child. They are to be in the līlā, they are to be the parents, the mother, father of Krishna, Balarāma, and of Radharani. So, I forget exactly how it came, but maybe some message, obviously not just by accident, but one day, and it must have been on the Jamuna, it could have been in a kund, but the Jamuna is nearby, Gokul and Raval, it's just very, very close, off in the fields. King Brishabhanu found a child in a lotus. Now, where did the lotus grow? On the water. So, possibly there on the bank of the river. He found a lotus, and in this lotus, there's one child. A very beautiful child. So he brought this child to the house, and everybody was very happy. Oh, just see, by the grace of God, we have got a child, we have got a child. No one claimed that child. No one said, no, that's my child, my child. No one claimed that child, so they were very happy. By the grace of God, they got a child. But this child didn't speak. And this child didn't open her eyes. It was a little girl, female child. Didn't open her eyes, didn't speak, and didn't respond to any sounds. In other words, the child couldn't hear. So they were very sad about this. So right around that time, there were some problems in Gokul. I think Putana had come to try to kill baby Krishna, and thus I think that was followed up by Trinavarta. 2 or 3 demons came to kill Krishna. Kamsa had realized that Krishna had escaped, and so he was killing children everywhere, and trying particularly to kill children, killing all the children. He'll just get Krishna in the batch. So they were just killing all the children, and then particularly they're hunting for Krishna. So a few demons had come, Putana, Trinavarta, maybe another one or 2. So then the devotees, everybody in Gokul, they thought, this place is unlucky or something. We better move. We should shift. There's too much disturbances here. This is not a safe place to raise the children. So they moved. And Mathura's here and there this way. They came at a place, they crossed the Jamuna. They came down the Jamuna and they came to this place called Vrindavan. It's a forest. Now it's said that just outside of Vrindavan is such a beautiful forest at that time. So beautiful, running on the bank of the Jamuna. big trees and meadows in the forest. It's such a beautiful place. They just camped there for 1 year. They kept their wagons, they pitched their tents. The climate was nice. And they pitched their tents there for 1 year, and every day the cows went for grazing in the forest. You see, they stayed there for 1 year. Well, that time Krishna was maybe 2 and 3 years old. And Balarāma is 3 or 4, and Radharani is 1 and 2. Like that, their ages are like that. And King Vrishabhanu, he moved also. He decided to move from that area. So they all migrated together, and they stayed for about 1 year. Then after 1 year, they went on farther. And at a point, they split up. And Nanda Maharaj went to this place, which is called Nandagram. It's a big hill. And I believe that hill is considered an incarnation of Brahma. And then King Vrishabhanu, he went a little farther. You can see from one hill to the other. It's not close. It's like 10, 15 kilometers. He went a little farther. There's another area. A nice hill is there. I believe they say that is the incarnation of Shiva, that hill. Now, a little different from all of them is a third hill. What is that hill? That's Govardhan. That is the incarnation of Vishnu or Krishna. So there's Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva in these 3 hills there. But they didn't live at Govardhan. They lived at Nandagram. And Vrishabhanu and Kuntida, not Kunti, Kirtida, they lived in a place called Vadarsana. Now, generally people think that Radharani is born in Varsana, but actually she was born way over on this side, in Gokul. And after a year or so, they all moved. So, maybe in her 2nd year, then the family of Nanda Maharaj, the family of King Vrishabhanu, they used to get together for the village functions of different types. So I forget which function it is, but both villages were gathered in the middle at the end of their, I believe maybe their 1st year. They're gathered for some festival, and everybody come there, and everybody brought the children and everything. And by that time, Krishna was crawling around, sometimes walking, mainly crawling here and there. And he had already been showing some of his childhood pastimes. But Radharani was still in what you call the basket, the crib. And she is sitting there. Until this time, she didn't open her eyes. She didn't hear anything from anywhere, and she didn't make any sound. What's that called? Deaf, dumb, and blind. No sound, right? So, then there was a meeting. While everybody was very, very busy, the children were moving about, and they were all different ages. Well, Krishna just started crawling about, and he crawled up to this basket, you see. And while approaching the basket, the bells on his feet made some noise. And Radharani's ears opened to hear first the sound of Krishna's bells. Then when he pulled himself up to look inside the basket, then Radharani opened her eyes first to see Krishna. Now, I can't verify it, but probably the first thing she said was Krishna. In other words, when she talked, what? She talked about Krishna, means to Krishna. And they're both in that child's pastime. So then everybody was very happy. Suddenly it gets discovered, and it was very happy that this little girl has now opened her eyes. She's now making noise, and she now responds to hearing and everything. And there everybody's very, very happy. So that was the appearance in the 1st year of Radharani's life. So now we have all 3. Balarāma is present, the brother of Krishna. Krishna is present. And the most important of all, the consort of Krishna. Now it's important to understand, what is the consort of Krishna? It means the companion of Krishna, the closest companion. That is Radharani. Both Balarāma and particularly Krishna, they are enjoyers, actually. Well, actually, Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Radharani is not an enjoyer. Radharani is a servant. Radharani is the original servant. Radharani is the serving energy of Godhead. You can think of God as simply one, everything in Him. And that way, you are in Him, this universe is in Him, everybody is in Him, everything is in Him. But when everything is in Him, and we don't discriminate the individual energies of God, then there is no rasa. And rasa is ananda. There is some happiness, but it is not expanded, it is not great. But when there's individuality, then rasa manifests, and this rasa is a type of happiness, much better than just this ordinary ananda, which Mayavadis and all these impersonalist people speak of. So, Krishna and his energies. So, Radharani is the principal serving energy of Krishna. We should understand her in that way. She is the principal devotional energy of Krishna. If there is devotion anywhere, where does it come from? What it is? You say, well, it's a feeling and to do and do. Well, what is that thing? Where did it come from? If you have a fever, that's also a feeling. Where does it come from? Oh, you got bit by a mosquito. You got a virus. You got a cold. Where does it come from? So everything can be traced. Everything has a cause. So devotion, where does it come from? So the great thinkers of the Vedic knowledge conclude that this devotion comes from Radharani. And not only therefore she's called Bhakti Devi. And faith in Krishna also, which is called Śraddhā, that also comes from Radharani. She's called Śraddhā Devi. So these two things, Bhakti and Śraddhā, this is the life of devotee. Only one other thing is there, śaraṇāgati, surrender. This is the life of devotee. Without Bhakti, without the Śraddhā, we cannot surrender to Krishna. We cannot accept the demand of Krishna. We must have first Śraddhā, we must practice Bhakti, that we can surrender to Krishna. They're mystically happening, but first we must have faith to accept Krishna as master. Where does that come from? It's not something we find in our head. It's not something you can learn in a university. It's not something you can dig out of the ground like gold and jewels. It's the most valuable of all things, and it comes from Srimati Radharani, Bhakti Devi and Śraddhā Devi. You follow? All right, so we understand Radharani in that way. She is the personification of devotion to Krishna. She's a personification of faith in Krishna, and as such, she's Prema Devi. Means she's the personification of love of Krishna. But generally that word is not there. She's called Mahabhav. The greatest love of Krishna is called Bhav, or Prema. But greater than all the love of Krishna combined, that is called Mahabhav. She is a source of love of Krishna also. Faith in Krishna, devotion to Krishna, and love of Krishna all comes from Krishna's devotional energy, Srimati Radharani. Now, because she's all of these things, then everything in relation to devotional service to Krishna, she is expert and perfect. Therefore, it is said that actually, she's the only one who can please Krishna. If you have nice Govindaji gardens, sweet rice, made with, what is that one we're using? Vanilla, and best milk of the Goshala, and just cooked exactly. Will you eat sugar by the spoon? Not unless you're crazy. You don't eat sugar by the spoon. Sugar is also sweet, but when you have sweet rice. So why Krishna will give up Radharani to go anywhere else and accept any other offering? This is a question. Therefore, those who try to serve Krishna and don't respect Radharani, their service to Krishna is simply floating in the sky somewhere. It is not taken up by Krishna. Those who try to worship Krishna and neglect his devotees, and particularly his best devotee, Krishna does not accept their service. That's how important Srimati Radharani is. Are you following these things, what I'm telling you? Yes. All right. So whatever she does for Krishna is perfect. And it is giving Krishna the greatest pleasure and the greatest satisfaction. To know about this becomes a mystery in Krishna's mind. The all-knowing God wants to know how much sweetness Radharani is getting. He's getting so much sweetness from Radharani's service, and all the devotees are serving in that way, and Krishna is very happy. But then he realizes, well, what type of happiness my devotee is getting, and what type of happiness Radharani is getting. He becomes very curious about this. This becomes a great mystery in his mind. And therefore, then he comes as Mahaprabhu, Krishna, but he comes not as Krishna's mood. If so, he'll kill demons, he'll lift mountains, he'll do all kinds of things like that. No, he doesn't come in the standard Bhagavan mode. He comes in the mood of Mahabhav, of his devotee, of Radharani, so that then he can practice devotion to Krishna and he can understand what is the sweetness of Krishna Bhakti. So these Mayavadis and others, they think that Bhakti, Krishna Bhakti, is some sentiment. But they do not know that Krishna Bhakti is so sweet that Krishna himself wants to taste it. Understand? It is so good, it is so sweet, it is so high and above everything else that there is, that even God himself, he wants to become a devotee to taste that sweetness. But he doesn't just become like any devotee, because devotees are different types. He becomes like the topmost devotee, mood of topmost devotee. Then he tastes the sweetness of bhakti. Do you follow? All right, so now there are mentioned in many places 64 devotional arts, devotional practices in serving Krishna. And here I have the list, 64. So the other day we read the 26 qualities of the pure devotees. We read these qualities, and I was explaining some of them in relation to Prabhupada. So in the similar way, there are 64 devotional arts. I think the purport of Brahma Samhita somewhere mentions the 64 devotional arts. These 64 arts are world famous also. They are world famous. And there are sometimes seminars about these arts. Recently there was a Vedic seminar somewhere in South India, I read about it. And the 64 arts, devotional arts, were the emphasis of that seminar, and they were talking and teaching something. However, if any of these arts are not performed in relation to Krishna, then it has fallen short of its goal. It is as simple as that. Krishna is the fire. You cannot cook chapati without putting the fire directly below the chapati. You cannot put the fire in the kitchen and put the chapati in the yagyashala and wait for it to cook. It doesn't cook. You can look at the fire, but unless you bring the fire or the chapati to the fire, unless it is in that connection, then it's not complete. It doesn't matter how nicely you made the chapati. It doesn't cook. So we may have talent, but until that is offered to Krishna, it is not really an art. When it's offered to Krishna, then it is a complete art form in itself. So I'm going to read these. I'm not going to explain them all. I might mention one or two some things. The first one is the art of singing. Radharani is the most expert in the art of singing. The second one, the art of playing on musical instruments. Radharani and her friends also, they also play mridanga, they play kartals, they play many varieties of veenas, ektars, stringed instruments. Krishna himself plays a flute. The gopis also sometimes play flutes. They are expert in all types of musical instruments. And they are expert, Radharani is most expert in dancing. Now, generally, what is Lord Shiva's name? Nataraj. But his dancing becomes dumb in front of, dumb means he is wonder about their dancing. His dancing is the most extreme, and he sometimes danced with Parvati. But when Radha and Krishna dance, Shiva and Parvati give up their dance. They give up their dance. Shiva's banging his heads on the stone. They give up their dance. They sometimes not always, sometimes they are given the privilege. They may see that dancing called Rasa dancing of Krishna. And in the Rasa dance, the most pleasing dancer is not Krishna, it is Radharani. She is the most expert dancer. Expert in theatricals, dramas. Now dramas are different types. You make a stage, you put up a curtain, people sit down. and then there's a drama. Then there's just the drama. And sometimes you say, oh, that guy's acting a drama, crying too much, doing the big drama man, big drama man. Well, this type of drama is going on all the time in Krishna Lila, and the most dramatic, the most expert at drama, and the theatrical drama also means staging the drama. That is Radharani. Number 5, expert in the art of painting. So it is mentioned that all these are devotional, and devotees may practice some of these. We play drums, we sing. We sometimes hold dramas. We haven't had any dramas here in years. We also do these things for what? For the pleasure of Krishna. We do these things. Painting, that was to say the art of painting. Then the art of painting the face and the body with colored pigments and cosmetics. Now that one we don't practice here, but where we practice that?
Deities.
Deities. We're painting always on Krishna's hands, Krishna's face, Radharani, around her eyes, different things like this. The art of painting on Krishna's face. Then the art of preparing offerings from rice and flowers means the kitchen department. The arts of making nice things and preparing flowers, making the garlands. Like I said, better to have the simplest flowers from our garden made ourselves nicely and offered to the deity. That is better than some 500 rupee garland from the market. Because the market, that's money and so many, it's not. But if you pluck the flowers, you put them in some nice color design, and you make a garland, that is super by comparison. So, expert in making offerings with rice, vegetables, flowers, etc. Expert at making the covering of flowers for Krishna's bed. So, we cover sometimes Krishna's bed, we make this plate of water that's sitting there, it's covered in design, and the whole altar, garbhaguri, sometimes the whole ashram gets a color design. But particularly one art is decoration of Krishna's bed. The art of applying preparations for cleaning the teeth, the clothes, and painting the body. So sometimes in the offering we give this, pan. This is like a mouth freshener. It's a mouth cleaner. It has some taste. Other times, some just ordinary spices are offered after Krishna's eaten. What's that called? Tambula. And that is cleaning in the mouth by spices, by fresh taste, camphor, cardamom, clove, that black one that burns your tongue, different things like that. That is called cleansing of the teeth, and etc. by spices. Art of making jewelries. Stringing beads, preparing things, buying things, making Jagannath's nose ring, everything like that. Once I found a piece of coral in the Red Sea. Govardhan started making a bead about 9 years ago or 10 years ago. I still have it. He didn't finish that. That art of making the jewelry. Making jewelry. The art of covering the bed means dressing the bed, putting Krishna. The pujaris, when you're putting Krishna's bed, it's not the pillows crooked, the whole thing is crooked. No, that is not how the bed is kept straight lines, kept nicely, doing those things nicely. The art of playing music in the water. What that is, that's the boat festival. In places like Puri and some places where they have big lake, they'll make like a floating raft. Then they'll put the deity out into the water, and they'll make music there in the water along. And also, it may mean, and it's related to this, the art of splashing the water. There's an art of splashing water. When you boys go to the river, there's splashing. Some people don't know how to splash. Others, they know how to just send that splash right straight to your face. or make the one that goes boom, makes the big splash. Huh? There's the art of splashing water. That generally we don't practice in relation to deities worship, but these are arts that are practiced in Krishna's eternal līlās. So while swimming in the Jamuna, the art of splashing water and having fun and pleasing Krishna in that way. The art of applying a mixture of colors. That's like maybe this like this columns. Applying colors in different ways. Arrangements of colors that may come in flowers, that may come in powders, that may come in decorations on the altar. But the art of knowing how to mix colors, get other colors from colors, you see, because they're only basic colors, and how to get different colors. The art of designing of wreaths. Wreaths, that must mean malas, garlands. How to make different types of garlands. The art of setting the coronet on the head. What does that mean? Shekara.
Crown.
Crown. That means like crown. The art of putting the crown. Now sometimes the crown is too far back, and you see it doesn't look like. It's too far forward. It doesn't look like. A crown just doesn't plop on the head. It has to be sitted right to give the good look. The art of dressing. The art of dressing. It says the art of dressing in the tiring room. Did somebody misspell these things here? In the tiring room. The art of dressing means dressing Krishna, and you should dress yourself also to please Krishna. Means you're brahmacharis, you keep a simple dress. Basically, all devotees dress simply. That is more pleasing to Krishna than we try to make ourselves all fancy for Krishna. That doesn't have much value. We try to live simply, dress simply. But then dressing Krishna, we put lots of ornaments and lots of color and all these things. The art of decorating the ears. Making earrings and ear decorations for Krishna. The art of aromatics. Like there's one smell called henna. And henna is a good smell to offer to Krishna in winter, in cold season. Of course, down here in South India, there is no cold season. It's hot all the time. Even you think it's cold, there's nothing. You go to Vrindavan, whoa, that's cold. You can die, it's so cold up there. So in that time, Shaligram, Govardhan, Krishna, henna, right? But in South India, we never bring henna, because that's a heating oil. We always use sandal, rose, kush, cooling oils. But if you go and you put kush on or sandalwood on your head in Vrindavan in January, you'll get a splitting headache. It cools your head too much. You'll get a headache, and then develop a fever after that, and get the cold chills. So the aroma, these are the scented oils. Which ones to use at different times of the year, according to climate, and even mood is there also. Because there are many scents, and how to give certain moods, certain scents, maybe better in the evening, some in the morning, some in the midday. You see, generally nowadays we just discriminate for hot season, cold season, kadamba for rainy season. There's some slight thing. But there's actually complete science of aromatics. And again, it's become popular in this world, but people are simply using for their sense gratification. Here we're talking about aromatics to please Krishna. Decoration of various ornaments. The art of jugglery. Now, we used to practice that here years ago. That's the art of throwing so many things in the air. Well, in Krishna's Leela, the cowherd boys are always juggling. The gopis are also very expert at juggling. And they are doing different tricks and juggling. And Krishna is very happy to see that. He's amused by that, the art of juggling. Now this says, The art of Kochumara, a kind of art. Don't know what that is. What's Kochumara? Chumara? Kochumara. Chumara? Any sense? One unknown art. The unknown art. Expert in the unknown art. Okay. The art of sleight of hand. Now you see it, now you don't. Krishna likes that, the magician. So we're not doing this to the deity, showing like this, but in Krishna's līlā, cowherd boys, people are always showing like this. Different things are disappearing and there enjoy the sleight of hand, magic. The art of preparing varieties of salad, breads, cakes, and delicious food. Braja Kishore.
He's cooking that.
Das, yeah.
He's in the kitchen.
He's the salad man, the cake man. Varieties of these things to offer to Krishna. Preparing palatable drinks and juices. Tingling. And also with nice colors. Nice colors. Don't use synthetic colors though. That. The art of preparing, the art of needleworking, weaving, stitching, jari work, making dresses for Krishna, doing things like that. The art of playing with thread. You know that? You put one thread and you go like this, and you go like this, and then they pull like this and it becomes a string. Well, there are many tricks like that. They make swings, all kinds of things. Probably there's so many that are lost in the world, no one even knows them anymore. The art of playing with strings. Krishna and his friends, they're playing in this way. Playing the lute. A particular instrument called the lute. A small X-shaped and a small X-shaped drum.
It's a damu.
Yeah. This and the lute, one stringed instrument is there. So particularly that's given some mention here. The art of reciting verses and testing one's memory. Memory games, memory skills. Particularly, we should learn, every devotee, regardless of what you do, you should know some verses. As you grow up, and everybody who's growing, you should know some verses. Which ones? Spoken by Krishna or spoken about Krishna? Glorifying Krishna. And use our brain to remember such things as verses, which are in a type of poetry. They are themselves a type of poetry. The art of practicing language, difficult to be answered by others. So there's one language called Brajabas. And then there's language games, like pidgin. We call it in Hawaii pidgin. And you try to create languages out of different words and talk, and the other guy tries to figure out what you're saying. Language, various types of language games. Now there's one board game, it's called Scrabble. You have letters and words, and you get points. Word games. The art of word games. Okay, the art of reciting books, reading from books, how to read a book before others. It's not just like talking. There's a way of the orator when he reads a book, when you give a speech. It's different than just talking. The art of reciting books. The art of making short plays and anecdotes. Short plays, like a theatrical, maybe 45 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. Theatricals in Kerala, they go 24 hours. Kathakali, Bharatanatyam, these things go on all the night long, right? But then there's what's called short dramas, short plays, skits. And they are usually they're over within minutes. But there's some purpose, there's some humor, there's some message. Those are called anecdotes. The art of solving enigmatic verses. That's Kavya, Samasya, Purana. So that means, enigmatic verses, that means riddles. The art of solving riddles. Like 3 men went to the hotel and bought the room, paid 30 rupees, each man paid 10. That story I told the other day, and Shamakunda was like, no chance. You couldn't figure it. I told Rupanuga, right? We've talked that. Those are riddles. There's the art of telling riddles and the art of figuring riddles. Now what happens when the riddle is told and figured or blocked? When that happens, you laugh. It is a source of happiness or pleasure. Some challenge comes. So in Krishna's līlā, these are the types of things that are also going on. Now we may not be doing these things often, but you'll see these things also, they come up amongst the devotees. In the devotees play also. Means in the devotees association is a little bit more serious and sober because we're in a dangerous place, this material world. We cannot just be playing string games and word games all the time. But within the company of devotees, there's also space for all these things which we are talking also. And but too much of that would be considered frivolous because we are in a very serious situation in this world. And our first business is to get ourselves firmly in the shelter of Krishna and not be joking around too much about it. But yet, that is there. All these things you'll find also. The art of designing, preparation of a shield, a cane, and arrows. Modified. Shotguns, tube rows, air pistols, tomahawks, hatchets, the art of defense, in case any bad guys come around. Whereas no bad guys can enter Krishna and actually disturb Krishna's līlā. But sometimes they're thinking, well, if they did come, what would we do? Then they have their weapons. The art of spinning by spindle. So that's the old one, is making the thread and such by hand, spinning the cotton into the thread. That's a nice thing. I remember that time we went to Melakoti, some of you may have been there, and there was a Brahmin. He had a little pile of cotton. He had a smallest kind of thing, and he was just doing this thing, and he was getting the string right there from the cotton and making the Brahmin's threads for the Brahmins. He just sitting right, the guy was sitting like right there, just doing this thing. Not a big, what's that thing Gandhi had? The charaka. Not a charaka. He had this one by hand. There's a way you hold it and pull it, and there's something hooked to your foot, and it's catching, and he's making the thread, and he's making this Brahmin's thread. So like that. That's what this means. The art of spinning there, and also how to make the cotton from the raw cotton and make the deepams for the puja. Not simply always, let me go to market, to the chemical, drugstore, medical shop and buy cotton. In the old days, how you'll get this cotton for the deepam? You'll get some cotton from a plant. There's cottonwood tree, and there's a cotton plant, several varieties, and then you'll make, and you'll spin, and you'll do these things. Carpentry, the art of carpentry, making things from wood. The art of engineering, figuring out how to get things to work. Engineering, water engineering, all kinds of engineering is there. The art of testing silver and jewels. That means how to know what is really silver, what is really gold, and how to understand what's a real gem and what's not. What's just a glass, and so forth. The art of metallurgy. How to change all the aluminum buckets into gold. Impossible. But there was some knowledge, and I remember we told in the ancient world there's the iron pillar at Delhi. It doesn't rust after thousands of years. They knew about the metals. And then of course there is the art to take bell metal and change it over to gold. It's called metallurgy. And metals in medicine, how to use mercury, which is usually a deadly poison to the body, but how to apply it as a medicine to kill certain very serious diseases and such things as like that. Metallurgy. The art of tingling jewels. Tingling, like this. The art of making sounds, but not with just metal pipes. The art of making earrings, and one jewel will hit on the other one, and it will just give a certain sound like that. Making sounds with jewelry. Mineralogy, the art of mineralogy. Mineralogy is all the things from the earth, the salt, and all the different organic substances that are there in the mountains, in the minerals, etc. And mineralogy, from the minerals, originally a lot of the cosmetics were made, and paints for painting. The art of knowing the mood of fighting lambs, cocks, and birds. Now, I don't think they were having, full-on cockfights, but yeah, something was going on there with the animals.
Was it fighting with the animals or having the animals fight each other?
Probably both, but of course, in Krishna's līlā, they don't put animals to fight to the death and everything like that. But there could very easily be there maybe something was there, right? But not this thing that they do today. Imitating the animals, fighting with the animals. The art of knowing, the art of maintaining and knowing conversation between male and female cockatoos. Cockatoos are those big birds with the big thing like that. So you have to, the art of knowing what the birds are saying. And when the male is angry or the female is angry, the art of knowing about the birds. And why would you want to know about the birds? Because if you know about this, then you can take that information and translate it into poetries of your own type, in your own secret languages, and all these things get connected. It's not that just one is here and one is here, and they don't serve each other or have any relation to each other. The art of healing and cleaning a person with perfumes. Again, that's like aromatics. The art of combing the hair. Like shaving the head. The art of talking with letters and fingers. Right? This is sign language, that's over, or ada, half. But there's a complete language. My sister used to do that. Talk to people, sign language, full talking. Yeah, for people who can't hear, full talking. So, uta. So there are many signs for talking. It's not that you can only talk. But then who has got high signs, then that means something. They're giving. Secret sign language also is there. People to talk. Okay, here's a good one. The art of fabricating barbarous or foreign sophistry.
Oh, philosophies.
No, not philosophy.
Sophistry means philosophy.
Oh.
Yeah.
The art of fabricating means something like, well, this is called, Malechita Kotarka Vikalpa. It means like giving the mundane scientific arguments, arguing against. Well, science can do everything. What do we need God for? The art of arguing, the anti-Vedic arguing. We call it devil's advocate today. Arguing from the other party, creating drama, creating play out of that, creating argument out of that. The art of knowing prediction by heavenly voices, or knowing preparation of toy carts with flowers. Making ras, decorating palki. The other one, I don't want to hear anybody talking about the other one. The other of knowing the prediction of heavenly voices. If you tell us you're hearing voices, we're taking you to a doctor. The art of mechanics. How to operate the pen. The art of mechanics. How to make the thing, keep the emergency brake in the car. There's the art of practical mechanics that we have to use. So we don't think, oh, this is some machine. No, we use that to serve Krishna. There's some mechanics involved. And of course, they may create so many mechanics. Didn't you do things when you figure out something? If something falls and hits a stick, and the stick will go over here and hit that, then the water thing will fall over and the water will run down, and then it will roll the orange across here, and then it will come blip to your hand. The art of mechanics, just making things happen for one's amusement, Krishna's amusement. The art of the use of amulets. Amulets? Amulets. Amulets. That's the kavachas and different things like that. The art of conversation. When people are talking, listen to what they say, be responsive, say polite words. The art of conversation is there. You ever, sometimes people just, everybody's in a room, everybody goes, and the conversation just dies. Right? So then somebody said, oh, did you read the newspaper this morning? You know, Kumar Swami just stole another crore of rupees or something. The art of conversation, to keep the conversation going. That is an art. Not that type of conversation, though. Our art of conversation would be how not to forget Krishna in the conversation. If the conversation goes off, then we drag the thing back, you see. Not too much talk about Krishna's mayas. What about Krishna himself? The art of composing verse mentally. That'd be like our Shamakun Baba. Just whips something up right out of his mind all the time. Just some thing he'll come up with, something like that. But then a little more advanced would be composing in Sanskrit verse or anything like that. The art of designing a literary work or a medical remedy. So literary work, designing a book, a public, like a card, a design, something with a message on it. In Krishna's līlā, there's messages. So they don't that they simply scribble on some junk piece of paper. They may design something very beautiful, and it's that writing is called calligraphy very nicely. It's not just some panically scribbled message on a piece of paper and passed to the next. They'll create very beautiful messages on paper. The art of practicing as a builder of temples and shrines. Means making places for worshiping Krishna. The art of the use of lexicography, that means calligraphy, and meters. Okay. The art of concealment of clothes. The art of knowing specific gambling tricks. Anybody know those? If so, we go to Vegas. The art of the dice. You know the art of the dice. Gambling. Yes, the art of playing the dice and the magnet. I guess there are some games with magnets also.
Under the table.
The art of using children's toys. The art of enforcing discipline. And particularly that means upon oneself, and in some cases upon one's associates, family members particularly also. The art of gaining victory. Jai, vijay. The art of awakening with music at dawn. So the art for our art of awakening with music at dawn means wake up before dawn and prepare the music just around the time of the sun rising. The kirtan is there. The kirtan, the music of mridanga, kartals, the singing of the holy name of Krishna. So these are the 64. There were 64 devotional arts. Only one was mysterious. Let's try to find out what that is. I'm sure it's been found out by now. number 22. It's a kind of art. Art, well, kind of art, kochuma. Then that might mean speculation, but that might mean either a type of painting or a terracotta type of art, like that. Some type of art with paints or with substance. So these are the 64 devotional arts which are practiced always in Krishna's Leela. All devotees, moreover, in Krishna's Leela, they are expert in these 64 arts. But it is Śrīmatī Radharani who is the most expert in each and every one of them. Therefore, she is the best servant of Krishna. Srimati Radharani ki jai, Hari.